Hello guys, welcome to this Packet Tracer tutorial. This is Packet Tracer 1.05. It covers logical and physical mode exploration. So the objectives of this Packet Tracer tutorial are to investigate the bottom toolbar, which is down here, to investigate devices in the wiring closet, connect end devices to networking devices, install a backup router, configure a host name, and explore the rest of the network. So the network model in this packet tracer physical mode, PTPM activity, incorporates many of the technologies that you can master in Cisco Networking Academy courses. It represents a simplified version of how a small to medium-sized business network might look. Most of the devices in the Seward branch office of Warrington Data Center are already deployed and configured. You just have been hired to review the devices and networks deployed. It is not important that you don't understand everything you see and do in this activity. Feel free to explore the network on your own. If you wish to proceed more systematically, follow the steps below, answer the questions to your best ability. Okay, so this part here is just explaining that between the two different modes, there's physical mode, which looks like this, and there's also logical mode, which looks more like this. So I'll go back to physical mode. This part here is just asking you to investigate the toolbar. This is this section down here where you've got network devices, you've got end devices, components, and connections. And then it asks here, what are the subcategories for network devices? So network devices. So the subcategories will be routers, switches, hubs, wireless devices, firewalls or security devices, and also WAN emulation devices. Or, for instance, there's a cloud there to emulate the internet. So part two, investigate devices in a wiring closet. Okay, so if you went exploring, just make sure you return back to the screen here. Click on Seward and then click the branch office. So there we go, Seward branch office. So now click the wiring cabinet or closet. Okay, so here in the wiring cabinet, okay, so what we have here is a rack of devices. We have a pegboard of cables of different colors and variants. We have a table with a PC and a laptop, and we also have some shelving units with some devices which are not connected to the rack or any of the other devices at all. Okay, so below the routers are two switches. So this is the router, and these are the two switches. These switches provide wired connections to connect to other devices. Notice that the devices have a name assigned to the network, assigned to them by the network administrator. What device uses a wired connection to connect to ALS2? Okay, so let's have a little look here. So it looks like ALS2 is both connected to the web server and it's also connected to the access port. And we can just confirm that by checking here. Look, ALS2, access point, web server. Control Shift P back to physical mode. Below the switches in the rack, there's a wireless access point named access point. That is this little device here. Wireless access points use a wireless connection to connect to other devices. Switch to logical mode. Which device is connected to access point? We already know that here we can see that access point is connected to the second switch, and it's also connected to the laptop wirelessly. Okay. So part 3, connect end devices to networking devices. Devices can be connected in a variety of ways. For network connectivity, devices are typically connected using either a copper straight-through cable or wirelessly. For management connectivity, devices are typically connected using either a console cable or USB cable. This here just specifies that as we complete these tasks, this completion will go up. You are completed with the activity when the completion meets 100%. And you can check if you're missing different parts by going to check results. Okay, so part A is to investigate the cable pegboard. It includes 2 console cables, 10 copper straight-through cables, 4 fiber cables, 2 coaxial cables, and 2 USB cables. Notice that the cable representation in physical mode are more representative of their real-world counterparts. So that's basically saying that these cables look like how they would in real life, where in logical mode they are just lines or dashed lines to represent wireless. Okay, so down to C here. Okay, B, sorry. So switch to physical mode, click a copper straight-through cable from the cable pegboard, and then float your mouse over the ports on PC1 until you see Fast Ethernet 0 pop up. Okay, so this is our copper straight-through cable right here. That's RS232. This is Fast Ethernet 0. That's the one we want. So with the copper straight-through cable still selected, select the Fast Ethernet 0 port. Should now be highlighted green. Yep. Connect the other end to switch to ALS2 by clicking an empty Fast Ethernet port. The cable should now be dangling between PC1 and switch 2. Okay, so I'm just going to click that there. Then we got our cable. And if you see down here, the completion has gone up slightly. So that means we're on the right track. Float your mouse over the edge router, find the console port. You can right click and inspect front to zoom up. So the edge router, that's this right here. So inspect front. So what's it asking us to do? Find the console port. Click the console port on the edge router to connect the console cable. Okay, so we need a console cable and we want to just stick it into the console port there. And then we want to come down to PC1 because we want to connect it to PC1's console port, the RS232, just there. Perfect. Now for part 4, we need to install a backup router. So new models of networking devices can be accessed through a USB port for management configuration. This is necessary because newer laptops and PCs do not include RS232 ports for console cable connections. So we want to investigate the shelf and find the device. So what we're looking for, again, we're looking for a backup router. So we've got a backup switch, a branch firewall, wireless router, IP phone, branch laptop. Here we go, backup router right there. So we just want to simply drag this over. I'll just put it on top of the other router. So there we go, click and drag it onto the rack. Some devices are not automatically powered on when installed, when they're put onto the rack. So what you need to do is you need to, some of them will have switches on the front, some of them will have switches on the back. You want to inspect the rear with this one and just turn it on. That is now powered up. So on the cable pegboard, we want to choose USB. We want to inspect the rear, because I believe it goes on the rear on this one. We want to plug it in. And then we want to come down to the laptop and plug it into one of the USB ports on the laptop. Either of these are fine. I'm just going to go with 0. There we go. There we go, up to 83%. And now all that we need to do is to configure a hostname. So network administrators typically assign a name to networking devices. To do this, you'll have to use your console connection to the backup router. So that must therefore mean we're going to use the laptop. So yeah, click the laptop, go to the desktop terminal, just like that. Then you get this here. Would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? No, we do not. Okay, now hit enter again. Okay, now we can enter the commands to set a hostname. So first we want to go to enable. Now we have some extra permissions. Now we can change the hostname. Oh, we need to go into configuration mode first. There we go. Now we want to change the hostname to edge router backup. Then we want to exit out of there. Cool. And you can see that the name's changed because where before it was saying router here, you can now see that it says edge router backup. So yeah, and as you can see at the bottom, we've got 100% completed now. Just quickly look at the bottom here because I believe there's a question. Here we go. Notice that the display name for backup router did not change. That's referring to here. So the name hasn't changed. So the reason for this is that there are two different names, a display name and a host name. And we changed the host name. The display name is still what it was before. So the only thing left to do is to explore the rest of the network. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that to you. Hope you enjoyed this video, and there'll be plenty more to come. Thank you.